Welcome to our iOS 9 programming course from Edgionics. My name is Brett, and in this lecture we're going to learn about Xcode. We're going to get a tour of what it's all about, the different components of it, and where to download Xcode. Now we're going to talk about how to get Xcode. So you can download Xcode through the App Store. So you'll need to do this on a desktop or a laptop Mac because you'll need to be in OS X to download Xcode. So what I'm going to do is in the App Store, just search for it. I'm going to go up here to the top right and type in Xcode, and I'll get a hit on the latest version, which is this one over here. And what you can do there is, I've already got it, so I can open it, but you'll see a get. That means it's free, there's no price on it, and you can just download it. It's a few gigs, so it may take a little bit of time to download on a fast internet connection. Of course, it's not going to take too long. But once it downloads, you can open it from here, or you can do Spotlight. So do something like Xcode, and you'll get a hit on it and just open it from there. Now we're going to go into Xcode and just kind of give you a tour of the different components of Xcode. Okay, this is the Xcode splash screen, and I've got a few different apps that I've used over here on the right. So those are all my basically recent projects. Then I have options over here to create a playground, which is where I can just go in, not have to worry about creating an app and run snippets of code, maybe just to see how things work, trying out new Swift language features. Those all can be done in the playground. Create a new Xcode project. This is where you actually get into building an application. And then there's check out an existing project. So this is with a repository, which we're not going to use in this course. So I'll go ahead and start the playground so you can see what that looks like. And I'll just give it a name, and then it's going to want me to save it somewhere. So I'll just put it in my course folder. So this is the playground. And right now what's happening is it's assigning a string to a string variable. And then I'll get the output over here. So if I do something like print str, you can see up here the playground is running. It looks like maybe it's stuck, but there it is. So now it's outputting whatever I'm doing over here. And this is pretty good for, just like I mentioned earlier, coming in here and trying out code snippets, maybe going through a little bit of a workflow and trying some things out without having to worry about any kind of scaffolding that might get in the way when you're creating a project. We're actually going to go into this a little bit later as we get into building our application. We're going to use it to demonstrate a few examples. And along the way to building our app, we'll kind of have a little bit of a foundation just by using the playground. So I can close the playground. Xcode is still open, and go to File, New, and I want to create a new project. This is going to be just a single view application. And you can see here I'm in iOS. I'm developing an iOS application. And notice all the other different ones available. So quite a few different platforms that you can develop for. Single view application is really the most common. So I'm just going to do Xcode Tour for the name. And my organization name, you can put your company name or your name, then the organization identifier. This is going to be used in some of the file names. You can see here bundle identifier BBS, that's for Bite Size Business School, dot whatever the name of your application is. So if I had Xcode Tour with the space, it's just going to put a hyphen. Now in this course, we're going to mainly target the iPhone and Swift. You'll want to make sure you have Swift selected and not Objective-C, and then the iPhone and not Universal or iPad. For some of these, we're not going to use core data. So checking that, we'll put in some core data code, some infrastructure code to use core data. If you don't use core data but you check this, that's all right. It's just a little bit of extra code added into a particular file and a few more components that you get with your project. So I'm going to uncheck this for now and do next and just save into a location and let it create. So here I have an application. And over here on the left are my various files. Anything .storyboard is where all your scenes are going to be. We're going to use one storyboard throughout the entire course. There's not really a reason to use more than one. With a more complicated application, that would probably be the case, but we're not going to get into creating more than one storyboard. If I click on storyboard, it's going to show the UI. So this is the user interface. And what we're in here, this part of Xcode, is called Interface Builder, because we're going to be doing things to our scene. We're going to be adding components to it. You may have noticed there's another storyboard file here. This is actually the launch screen. And if I zoom out, and now I can zoom out, this is the splash screen. That's actually the screen that appears maybe briefly when the application is starting up. And notice this arrow. This is the entry point arrow into our app. Storyboard entry point. That's what that means. You need one of those because the application needs to know which scene is going to be the first scene. If I click on this scene over here, we can see is initial view controller. So that means it is going to be the initial scene. And then back over here, after the splash goes away, then which of our scenes that we're developing on after the splash screen is going to be the main one. So this again here is initial view controller. So we have this entry point here as well. So now if I run this, we're going to start the simulator. Actually, I've got an iPhone 6 Plus selected up here, which is going to be pretty big. So I'm probably going to just go ahead and restart this and get a different size so it makes a little bit more sense. So these selections here are the different simulator devices I can run on. And I'm just going to choose an iPhone 6. Go ahead and start that. It's building my application, and once that finishes, it'll run it, and it'll run inside of this simulator. So as you can see, there's nothing displaying which matches our scene. It's completely blank. This is actually kind of like a full-fledged iPhone. So if I want to go to the main screen, get out of my app and go, say, to the home screen, I would normally click the home button. That's not visible, so we get to it through the menu, and you can actually do it through the keyboard. But once you learn some of the shortcuts, it'll be easier to just do it through the keyboard. So here's the home button. This is the keyboard shortcut. That Shift, Command. If you look on your Command key, you'll see this symbol, and then H. And that's going to bring us out of our app and back to the home screen. So you can see there's a few other apps on here. I can go back just like on a regular device and go to my home screen. Here's Safari. So it's a pretty neat little simulator. And every time you run from Xcode, you run your app, it'll launch directly into your app, and you don't have to worry about going in here and clicking an application to start your own app. So I'm just going to do something really quick here and add a label. So down here in the bottom right, we have all the different controls. And I'm just going to add this label so that didn't stick. Now it will. And I'll do my new application. So there's my label, and if I drag it over, you can see this blue line. That tells me I am in the middle. I'm going to clear my search, and you can see here all the different kinds of controls. So this is a table control, and then we have a lot more. So we have segment controls, buttons, text fields, sliders, switches, a lot of different things. Here's a progress indicator, activity indicator. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and we're going to see a little bit of difference. Also, this is our launch screen. I'm going to zoom in, and I actually want to add a label to that. So I'm just going to do label and drag that here and just call this launch screen and center it. Now I'm going to launch the app, and we should see something on both scenes, although it may flash fairly quick. Yeah, a little too quick for the launch screen. So we can see this text matches, if I go back to our main storyboard, this text that we added here. So it's just reflecting what we've actually developed, and that's now a real application. We can center this by changing this size here to the iPhone size. We'll do that as we get more into Xcode, but for now, I just kind of wanted to give you a tour of what it's all about. And part of the integration with Xcode, if I go to my project level by clicking on the project here, is integration with your developer account. So remember, you can get the basic developer account for free, and you'll come into Xcode, you'll enter in your username and your password to your account, and it's going to sync with it. And then that's going to allow you to use features such as iCloud and other different kinds of features that maybe are cloud-based services. So that's just a quick tour of Xcode and the different components of Xcode, and a little bit look at the simulator that's included as well.